Dubey, you can start.
Okay. So I'll share the screen now. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that in order to have a deep insight, thinking must stop. For thinking to stop, there must already be a deep insight. Where does one start? In this, isn't the brain working to achieve something and thus preventing insight? I don't know what the question means, but we're going to go into it. I understand that in order to have a deep insight, thinking must stop. But for thinking to stop, there must already be a deep insight. Where does one start? In this, isn't the brain working to achieve something and thus preventing insight? I don't know what it all means. Let's go into it. Do we clearly see, each of us, that our brain has become mechanical? We repeat, we live in the past, and the reactions we have are obvious. And the question really is, where does one start? Where does one start to understand the whole problem of existence? Not insight or thinking how to stop thinking, but rather, what is the meaning of this? If we could start from there and then investigate more and more, deeper and deeper, then we'll come upon something which may be not mechanical. That is, if we can realize that our brains have become mechanical. That is, when you insult another, the other insults you. Action, reaction, reward and punishment. On this basis, action, reaction, from the reaction, action, and so on, like a tide going in and out. And that's a mechanical process. Our memories are mechanical. Yeah, we live in the past. If I have an experience, and it is an exciting experience, it has brought about several rewards, and I think it, which then becomes mechanical. If I am attached to a person, or to an idea, or to some kind of experience, then that being attached then it becomes mechanical. You repeat over and over again the same thing. Sexual and every other form of repetitive acts is mechanical. Then the question is, can this mechanical brain, which has been programmed to be mechanical, because seeking security in the, it is seeking security in the mechanical, constant repetition, from repeating that your own prejudice is a mechanical. I think that's very and so the question is whether this mechanical process can stop. Suppose one has a habit, either smoking, drugs, alcohol, sex food, and habit of belonging to something, belonging to a group, belonging to some kind of orthodox religion and so on. There you feel safe. There you feel you are among people who also think alike. And this mechanical process gives one a sense of security. This again very clear. Hope you are listening. Are you listening to someone? Because I don't see the point of coming out, going through all the heat and the troubles one goes through, and sitting here and going off, dreaming something else, while you come to listen to each other. So please, let's listen to you. Which doesn't mean that you must accept what the speaker is saying, or cling to your own prejudices, conclusions, and so on. But both of us are understanding a very, very complex problem. The problem is living, existing. And in that existence of our daily life, so on, one finds the brain keeps on repeating the same thing over and over again. You may put a different disc, but it will be the same thing repeated. And so on. So our brains have become mechanical through long evolution, through innumerable experience. And the brain has accumulated great many memories and keeps on repeating the memory. You know. And yes, the brain has become mechanical. And in this mechanical process, it seeks security. That's all we want. We all want security, both biological, physical, as well as psychological. And when a brain becomes mechanical, there is secure. One thinks there is secure. As long as I repeat that I'm British, that I'm French, that I'm there is security. But that divisive process brings about insecurity. That's clear. Now, the question is, before we go to the problem of insecurity, the question is, whether this mechanical process can come to an end. This mechanical process brings about a deterioration in the brain. Right? Do we see? The brain needs stimulation. The brain needs challenge, question, doubt, ask, demand. But if it is routine, it stops demand. It stops being sharp, clear. And so gradually, it deteriorates. You can see it all right, perhaps not well. But you can see it from almost from teenagers to old age. I wonder if one is aware of one's own brain deteriorating by constant repetition. You may revolt against role and fall into another pattern and then repeat that. I'm no longer a Christian, but I'm a Buddhist. I'm no longer a Buddhist, but Tibet. You know, the game one plays all over the world. So the question is whether the brain can stop deteriorating. That's a really very, very serious question. As long as we are living in the past, which we are, because we live in memory. We are memory. And that is the past. There is no future. Future memory may be projected from the past, meeting the present, and modifying itself and going on. Right? This process we all do. The past, meeting the present, modifying itself, and then proceeding further. But it is still the past in movement. So, is there a way of looking at life, living, which is not merely the continuation of the past? Right? So, as I put the question, I find my brain, suppose I find my brain becoming repetitive. The language is repetitive. The symbols that thought has created become repetitive. Language language is not limited, but the limitation of the language creates the symbol and so on. I won't go into it. So, language, the past memories, being attached, tied to an experience, to series of memories, all those are, because they are mechanical, brings about deterioration of the brain. Is this, could we go on from there? Don't please nod your head, but see your own brain, watch your own brain, watch your own life. Because your life is the activity of action, reaction, memories, and all the turmoil, the deaths, the pleasures, the anxiety, the loneliness, and so on. That's our life. We have lived that way for a million years or more or less, and that is repeated. War after war, right? War after war in different parts of the world. There have been two terrific wars within the last few years. So that has been repeating. So we come to that point. I hope you have listened. When we have come to that point now, why does the brain depend so much on the past, on being programmed? Why does the brain depend or live with this repetitive action? We are saying this repetitive action gives great security. Freedom doesn't give security. We'll come to that a little later. So, security is the basis of holding on to the past. Tradition is the past. Those soldiers in London going every morning up and down. You've seen all those devils. So, now we're asked whether the brain can perceive its own mechanical process, and that very perception brings about a challenge to move away from. I perceive that my brain is mechanical, and I perceive it not as an idea, but actual, right? I perceive. There is the perception that it is mechanical. That very perception is a challenge, right? We get into meeting this. I perceive a dangerous snake. That's a challenge, right? I have to do something about it. Otherwise, that poisonous snake will kill me. So I have to act, right? There's action takes place when there's perception, right? Are we meeting this? Look, when one is climbing the mountain and you see a precipice, the precipice is a challenge. Either you are very capable and so on, or you get dizzy and hold on to a rock and fall back. So in the same way, when you perceive, when there is perception that the brain is mechanical, being programmed, and in that program, there is no security. Though one may want security, there is no security because the brain is becoming dull, deteriorating. Therefore, in that, there is no security, right? Right? Clear? So, when there is perception of a danger, there is action. Right? When there is perception that the brain is becoming or has become mechanical, that very perception brings about the energy to end that repetitive action. I wonder if you get it. Or we are all together in it. am I talking? You tell me what to do. First of all, let's begin. Does each one of us, realize our brains have become mechanical? Do you realize that? Whether you are a philosopher, whether you are a scientist, whether you are a businessman, whether you are following some guru, whether you belong to some religion or not, it is the whole mechanical process is going on. Right? As long as the mechanical process goes, the brain must deteriorate because the brain needs to be built from the state. It is active in mechanical process, but it's not active in freedom. Now, only in freedom the brain doesn't deteriorate. This is someone when you move as your brain is being programmed repetitively. There is no freedom, and therefore it must be like a human being in a prison. And if there's no freedom. Therefore, it's not only biological, organical, but also mentally. They deteriorate. Yeah. Let's move. Nice. This what I have talked about very true. It is not how to stop thinking, how to break the routine, but if you see the fact that repetitive action bringing to something as of an experience of and so on, one of the major factors of deterioration. If you see that, then you are brought altogether a different. Like you when there is a perception of danger, is it danger? You are, but when we see that brain is deteriorating because of various reasons, you go because you don't see the fact that it is routine is deteriorating. If you saw it, you laugh. You saw people come here, right? Taken the trouble to come. You took steps, you saved money, you had lots of money, and so. But you decided to come. Similarly, when you see something clearly, factors of deterioration, you go on. You don't say, I must act. Right? Now, from that, let's go into something further. What is the process of thinking? What is the cause of causation of thinking? We all think, fortunately or unfortunately, some more, some less, some with an extraordinary courage, logic, others living in sleep with, but we all think, and we're never asked, why do we, what is the cause, what is the root of sin? Root is in the third, what is sin? When you are asked a familiar question, your response is weak. What's your name? Where do you live? And you immediately ask, why? Because you are familiar with your name, you are familiar with the road and the house you live in. And so familiarity and constant repetition implies. Suppose one asks a little more complex question. There is an interval between the question and the answer. In that interval, your search, your memory, your look, you are saying, I know this right. The interval between the question and the answer is time interval. In that time interval, you are searching for an answer. Whether in the encyclopedia or in your own memory or asking somebody. Right? So there is an interval between question and answer, which is the time interval. Suppose one asks somebody very complex question and you say, I don't know. Right? What is the distance from here to Mars? You don't know. And you say, I don't know. Right? So, familiarity, an interval of time with question and answer, and saying, I don't know. So this whole process is thinking. Right? Right? Are we together in this whole process of question which you are familiar with, question which demands time, and say, I don't know. All that is a process of thinking. Thinking along a particular line. If you're attached to a particular experience and you hold on to that experience, and thinking then is round that experience. So wait a minute, Counselor, I'll go on in spite of the rain. And thinking is based on memory. If you had no memory, you can't think. And memory is gathered in the brain as knowledge. Knowledge comes from experience. Right? Experience, knowledge, memory, thought. We must be absolutely clear on. Right? Experience is always limited. Whether you are experiencing pleasure, pain, sorrow, loneliness, depression, anxiety, all that is limited. A man who says, I'm enlightened, right? You understand? When a person is asked, you enlightened, and the other fellow says, I have, that very experience that he has illumined is limited. No sane, rational, really enlightened man says, I'm enlightened. Right? So all experience is limited. And therefore all knowledge in the future or in the past is a limit. So thought, which is the child of memory, and memory is limited. So the whole thinking process is limited. Is this clear? Can you learn from that? Now, what happens when thought, which is limited, when there is limitation, what takes place? You understand that? Are you listening to the radio? Can you go on? Can you all hear what Coco Man? Can we go on now? When one is thinking about oneself, which most of us do, that thinking about oneself is very limited. You may expand that thinking about oneself as illumined as great writer or with habits. May we go on now? As we were saying, if we are concerned with ourselves, and most of us are, even those who people who say have reached the height, they are thinking about this. And consequences of that, thinking about oneself is very difficult, right? If you are thinking about yourself, and I am thinking about myself in various ways, it brings about a division. Therefore, in that division, there is conflict. So whatever is limit must bring about conflict. I am an Arab and you are a Jew. Or if you don't like it, I am a Jew, you are an Arab. And so on. So wherever there is limitation, there must be conflict. This is very important to understand. Because our whole life, all our life are based on limitation. And that we are in perpetual conflict. I wonder if we realize this, not verbally as a mere statement, that wherever there is division, that wherever there is division in our relationships, our intimate, national division, economic division, social division, religious division, there must be conflict, struggle, war. This is a law, the law of Moses. So when one realizes that, and that self-concern, nationally and so on, is brought about by thought. And therefore, thought being limited must inevitably create conflict. Right? Is this clear? This is logical, right? Rational, that wherever there is division, thinking about myself, my ambition, my other person thinking about his ambition, his fulfillment, this division must breed conflict. So the question then is it possible, seeing the truth, that as long as I'm an Indian, as long as I'm concerned with my piano, with my enlightenment, or with my writing a book, and so on, it must invariably create disturbance, torment, conflict, ultimately ending in war. If one sees, if there's a perception of that, what is the act? Not how to stop thinking. I don't know if you see that. There is a perception that thought has created this division. Religiously, you can see it very well. As long as I'm a Catholic, as long as you're something else, you're going to be in turmoil with each other. So, and that's the product of thought. So, what is one to do? You perceive the fact. Does the very fact feel, yes, or does the fact merely remain as an idea? Of this, this rain has gone, so we begin again. When one makes a statement like this, that wherever there is division, there must be conflict in relation and so. Is that a fact? You see the reality, or you merely see the idea of this clear? A fact, like the serpent, is a fact. But you can draw an idea about a serpent and live in that idea. Therefore, you are living with a non-reality away from fact. Is this clear from the God? Which is it we are doing now? Not tomorrow, now. You are seated, as you are sitting there, and we are discussing, and we discover that where there is division, there must be conflict. Is that a fact to you, truth to you, or is it just an idea? Is it a conflict? Which is it a fact, like you are hungry, or is it an idea that you are hungry? Yes? Which is, if it is a fact, it is so that where there is division, there must be conflict. Or you hear only a statement. Therefore, that's nothing to do with the fact. So which is it for you? If it is a fact, it is so that you will fall down a precipice. That's a fact. So you move away from it. So the fact is a challenge which you must answer. Right? Or you answer it. Also, well, that's true. I don't know what the danger will be. So it's up to you. So it's not a question of thought, stop, but seeing the fact and the perception of the fact in itself brings up a movement which is not thought. You can't go on with giving me something tough. And the questioner asks, what is insight? What is it? How does this perception and action instantaneously take place? That's what we need. You understand? Is the question clear? The question that is there an action which is not based on memory? Of course, if it is based on memory, is there an action? Please ask this question of yourself. Is there an action which is not based on past memories, past experience, and therefore on thought? And if there is action of such kind, that action is limited, and therefore must breed something. So, is there an action which is not based on past memories, experience, and so on? That's the question. And he asks, he says, that is insight. So, seeing something clearly, act. For us, we don't see something clearly, we take time. During that interval, other changes take place. So our actions are always confused. Why that? Is there an action? Please ask this question yourself. I'm putting forward to you this question. Please listen to the question and find out if the question is logical, rational. It is rational, logical, because our actions are based on memory, on the past experience. Therefore, our actions are mechanical. And the questioner says, is there a movement, an action, in which the past form doesn't enter at all? Is the question clear? Now we're going to find out. Right? The thought as an instrument of action, apart from the technological field, has created havoc in the world. Right? Are you clear on this? Must I repeat all over that again? Thought has built marvelous techniques, and thought has put all the things in the cathedral, the ceremonies, the rituals, the mass, all the dresses they wear, all that is the product of thought and not divine revelation. They like, and I like to think, that is the movement of thought. And that movement, limited, therefore must create consciousness. Do we see that the activity of thought necessary in certain area, right, but may not be necessary in other areas? Like in my relationship, in one's relationship to wife, husband, girlfriend, and so on. In that relationship, if that relationship is based on thought, therefore divisive, therefore conflict. That's clear. You all see that. Therefore, where there is conflict, there is no love. Jealousy is not love. Ambition is not. But when the wife and the husband both ambitious, right? Therefore, there is perpetual conflict. So, thought has its place, technology from here to there, and thought may not have a place at all, psychologically. Yes. So find out for yourself what there is an action which is not based on. And the speaker says there is. Don't accept his word, doubt what he is saying, question what he is saying. He is no authority. He says, and he will give you a reason for it presently, that there is an action. That there is an action which is not based on thought. Right? You're going to find out. Be skeptical, please. Doubt. First, what's possible. Hasn't it happened to you in your life? Seeing something true or not, without the process of thought, without the process of rationalization, without remembering, it must, right? Must. Every person has moments of this. Clear perception without any movement of thought, action taking place at the same time. No? And you're all human. In this very strange, some call it intuition, but the word intuition is a dangerous word. You can intuit that your own desires, say, I want that, that's for it. So, there is a movement. Movement is action. There is a movement in which thought doesn't interfere at all. I'll show it. Love is not thought. Great. Love is not desire. Use. Love is not flesh. Love is not ambition, jealousy, and so on. Okay. So, through negation of what love is not, the positive is. Are we doing this? Can you put aside jealousy, hate, ambition, aggression, violence? All that is not love. So, love is an action in which desire is not, pleasure is not. Therefore, love, if there is such thing as that, from that, any action taking place is not the movement of thought. Are we together in this, or it's all just like verbiage? Now put it down the other way. We operate from the background of memory. All our actions are based upon the past, knowledge and sense. Now, can the brain see the fact that is operating from the past, perceive that, and say, see the consequences of that, and seeing the consequences doesn't depend on it. Right? Therefore, there is an action which is not that of man. Are we getting anywhere near? There is an insight which is not born of memory. Insight is not a time is thought, time is memory, time is experience, knowledge, and as long as we depend on time, which is divisive, therefore function, and to see this, to perceive the actuality, then only is there an insight.
Yes, Harshad bhai.
I understand that in order to have a deep insight, thinking must stop. For thinking to stop, there must already be a deep insight. Where
something is going on. Yeah. May I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dubeji. Krishna ji is explaining very, very clearly how our brain deteriorates with time, because our brain is programmed, and as we learn a language, we go to school, college, we have so much memory, experience, and then our thinking becomes mechanical, and we are not aware of how thoughts moving in the brain. There is no discontinuity. So only when a person becomes very curious after listening to Krishnamurti to look at this thinking itself, how it is moving, then from that curiosity, and also one needs energy. And as the questioner said, that if we don't have insight, we will not have the silence to look. And it requires silence to have insight. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg, which came first. We don't know the answer. Similarly, what happens first? Whether there is a silence, discontinuity, and then insight, or it is the insight which leads to silence. So I think what a person who is really interested in looking at one's own inner world, and then it requires initially at least a person is alone and a good environment, and uh, concentrate on the beginning of a thought. And so when such curiosity comes, then there is a possibility that the thinking stops. But it may stop only for a short duration. And then again, it goes into the mechanical, repetitive action. So finally, it depends on how passionate, how curious, whether we have the energy to look and feel that this is the most important thing to really watch and not come to any intellectual conclusions or understanding, but to see it in our daily life. Wherever any reactions coming, to be in touch with it. So it has to do with the awakening of awareness. And so this is possible, very difficult. Very few people may be interested because it demands a lot of energy, curiosity, and ability to look at our inner world. Normally, we are not taught to look at the inner world in the school. All our learning is about the world which is outside, whether it's physics or history or languages. So only when this curiosity comes, then there's possibility of the mind coming to a stop. There is the insight into the whole process of how our mind is working. And then there is a possibility that our brain stop deteriorating. So this is the highest thing which Krishnaji is talking about. And it seems that his brain did not deteriorate with age. Even at the age of 90, he was very, very clear because he was watching, or there was a watching going on in him effortlessly. So when we make an effort to watch, then again we get tired. So only when an effortless awareness comes to look at the inner world, then one doesn't get tired, and the learning goes on all the time. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Dineshji.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
According to me, I will talk to the point. The essence of the matter is, where does one start to understand the whole problem of existence? Not insight, not thinking, how to stop thinking, but rather what is the meaning of all this? If we start from here, then investigate more and more, and then investigate more and more, deeper and deeper, then we will come upon something which may not be mechanical. So a dimension is there which indirectly always Harshad Parekh sir has also been pointing out. Unless the main story of the whole game is one has to touch that dimension. Now there are so many ways, but as far as JK is concerned, you have to understand the whole game. You have to understand that thought makes division, thought creates conflict. What is the structure of thought? And unless you understand that at a deeper level, there cannot be any awakening. So that awakening has to be there. As Harshad sir has also pointed out, the awakening has to be there. Now, only thing is, in my views, JK has always given the example of snake and danger. When you perceive the danger, you jump. But that's a wrong example, because in case of this whole game, there is actually this memory issue. The pleasure and pain, it is related to pleasure and pain. If I take the case of good memories, then I get the pleasure. If I remember this negative memories, I get the pain. So unless one goes above this pleasure and pain, he understands first what is the game going on, and he goes above it. Unless he goes above it, there is no freedom possible. That's what I think. Another thing, this gives security. Whereas in case of snake, seeing the snake, you get the danger. Whereas this, all your memory and your thought, the whole structure of thought has been created to give you the security. Security in the, whether it is on the physical level or in psychological level or any other level. So this security, since it is related to or linked to security, nobody tries to go above it. He always, that's why he has first asked, what is your motive in asking this question? If the motive is to gain something, then or you are having any some malintentions or some other intentions, or you are having some ambition and all that, then probably this may not happen. This issue of insight, how to get that? Unless one goes above this, the awakening takes place, and he sees the whole structure of it, then only there is a possibility of getting insight. That's what he says. So there is another point here, that here he has clearly said that there is no, it is not the question of stopping the thought. It is not question of even silence. You may be having this thing chattering going on, and still you can get insight. Because if you have understood the issue, if you have awakened to that level, when the person you are clear about all this game going on and division, what division does, what pleasure and pain issue is, then you can have insight despite of your silence, or not having silence, or not having this total freedom, I would say. If the freedom is even partial, then also there is a possibility of insight. That's what I feel. Another thing is, we always, he says, we always gives a response from memory. So this memory issue, technologically he says it's a must. Psychologically it is not must. So we are already making a division in this. That also we have to understand, and it is a must. So the question is, can we remain with the ambition and still not attached with it? So it's a really awakening is required at that level to be aware of both the processes going on, whether it is an ambition or whether it is a detachment. Unless one is aware of whole of this thing, I think he cannot get the freedom, and unless he cannot, unless he gets the freedom, there cannot be repetitive insight. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Pradeep Verma.
I think I am audible.
Yes.
Okay. Not many things to tell, because in this video, he has used almost 5 different words for the same thing. Awareness, watch your brain, perception, realization, seeing the fact. So all these things mean the same thing. Suppose a person has become, it's an imaginary, I'm imagining that a person has become absolutely free. You see, he is free. Freedom. Freedom, I'm imagining a person, if he is a free, then whether with freedom, he is always in insights. Because of freedom, what is the role of insight in a free person? Then fact and idea about fact. For fact, one has to be present there. Any fact, one has to be present there, otherwise it will be an idea. Seeing images there and making an idea about it. But for the fact, one has to be present there. Now, seeing the fact of my internal world, again, how to see that, how to be aware with my limitedness and my conditionings. So, these are some small questions. Maybe Harshad Bhai will clarify these things, because the person asked how to have a deep insight, as if how can I have a deep insight? So that I beautifully placed there tells so many things. But he takes this insight business only at the last, and the entire philosophy, entire message is clear: freedom from the past. Your jealousies and your everything is covered. Everything is covered. So, imagining a person who is absolutely free, then what role insight has there? Harshad Bhai may tell something about it.
Yeah. May I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. What I see from what I have learned is that this state is like being in an empty room and the door is open, eyes are open, and if somebody enters through the door and we know that somebody has entered, so the mind becomes quiet by itself, and then if a thought enters, it can be seen. Just like when the anger is arising, this awareness, ongoing, effortless awareness, sees that the anger has entered, and the moment it throws the light on the anger, anger gets dissolved. So that's why Krishnaji says that in the light of awareness, all problems created by thinking are dissolved. So what Krishnaji is asking is to be in that state of ongoing effortless awareness in which thoughts come and go, they don't create any problem. So the problem is not with the thinking, but the thinking not observed clearly. And that is where this awareness comes, which is in a different dimension than thinking. So as long as that awareness or intelligence is not awakened, thinking will create problem. And generally human beings are living with problems because they don't know that there is a different kind of thing possible for human being, what is called this choiceless awareness or intelligence. So we go round and round into thinking only, and it perpetuates more and more problems. and in problems in conflict. But I say that thinking by itself is not a problem. The problem is the lack of seeing it clearly. And that seeing it clearly is awareness. When it is awakened effortlessly, then there is nothing to be done except watching whatever is coming and going. Okay, I have finished.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, Dr. Verma, I just want to add something here. in the technological field, we see that people who are deep into something, whether it's a mathematical problem or a scientific problem, and a moment comes when they let go of their knowledge and something totally unconditioned comes up. That's how, in the technological field, all new things have come up, whether it's the gravitational field or any new thing in science or technology comes up. You have the background, but when that is abated, you keep it in abeyance, then something new comes. Similarly, in the psychological field, I feel that we know that you have to have thought to live, because otherwise you become a vegetable. But the moment you realize that in the psychological arena, thought creates lots of problems in my daily living. With that realization, the thought continues to be there where it is, but it becomes quiet. And at that moment, a response which is not dependent on memory takes place. That is perhaps insight. And I remember a few weeks ago you had talked about it, that insight takes place daily to all of us. That is what he's talking about. Not that, well, I have to have insight and I'm going to denounce thought and it takes place. So there is no preparation needed for it. But I think, as Asad said, there's lots of watching, observing ourselves. That is more important. I'll let Prasad Garu say something and then go back to Pradeep Verma again.
Sir, in this video, what I understand is, firstly, he has talked about the mechanical nature of our brains. Do we realize that our brains are mechanical? Our thinking is mechanical because it is based on thought, and thought being memory and experience and all that. It is limited and we are repetitive. And so the brain is mechanical and consequently it deteriorates. The deterioration of the brain is because we are being repetitive and mechanical. And he says, if the brain is very active, but it is active in a very mechanical way. If it is active in freedom, then it doesn't deteriorate. It is deteriorating because it is active like in a prison. He has given the example of a prisoner also. The prisoner deteriorates both psychologically and biologically. Similarly, our minds are deteriorating because they are being repetitive, mechanical. They are just going round and round based on the past, because our reactions are of the past. You have insulted me yesterday, and so today I want to hit you back. So that is a reaction. We are not coming out of reactions. We have no action, we have only reactions like that. And ultimately, he says, can there be action without, not based on thought? Can there be an action not based on thought? For us, it is unimaginable to think of action without thought, because we cannot think of it. In normal living, it is necessary. It is not as though it is not necessary. But he is thinking, he is talking of an action coming out of love. When there is action out of love, it is not coming out of the past. Love is not time. Love is not past. That is what he says. And so, when you realize this entire phenomenon, that is that your thinking is based on thought and all that, and that it is repetitive and that it is mechanical and all that, and that your actions are not from freedom, they are not from love. When you realize all this, then there is insight automatically. It is not as though you strive or struggle for insight. What you have to realize is the phenomenon of thought, the limitations of thought, the binding nature of thought, that thought makes you makes you function like a prisoner, and that you are not functioning from freedom. When you realize all this, then possibly there is insight automatically without your striving. This seems to be what I have gathered from this video. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. It's almost time, so we have
Yes,
just
you can-
1 minute.
Just a minute.
I'll have Verma ji having the last word. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Otherwise, Dinesh can also say. What I said. This
We have heard Dinesh ji, yeah.
This repetition is because of attachment and aversions in us. You see, and we repeat so many things in our daily life. Even in our system, there is a repetition, and circadian rhythms are there. Circadian day, how to in 24 hours, a number of things are repeated, and a number repetition. Not exact repetition, nobody can say scientifically, but lot of repetition is there, and associated with that attachment and aversion, both are there. So whatever are we imagining a very ideal utopian imagination, and then we are discussing around it, or is it possible?
I think we can live with this question, think over it.
Next time.
Next time. We have come to the close of the session now. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Dubey ji.
Thank you.
Thanks
Good night.
to all participants.
Thank you.
Close it now.